Hello, everyone.
Hello, hello. I feel like I haven't seen anyone here in a long time. It's good to be here. It's good to kick things off, especially as we approach the end of the year, the holiday season, and
Exactly.
get things moving on a good note from here on going forward.
Yeah, I agree. So the year is coming to an end. So we have what, just kind of like this weekend and then the entire next week almost to kind of like until 2023 knocks on the door. And yeah, right now we'll just start actually reflecting on this year and thinking what has happened, and we'll try to think about some of the most important lessons that we have learned and something that we will be building off of in the next year.
I think on top of that, it comes down to like reflecting on the things that have happened this past year, reflecting on our responses and reactions to the things that have happened, and then not just to what's happened, but what have we made happen? What have we
Yes.
achieved? What have we accomplished? And just kind of like taking into a mindset of what, you know, what should we do going forward? What should we take in with us that worked so well this year and take it into the next year and hopefully into the many years to come after that? Rather than
Yes,
making it a temporary resolution type of thing, make it like a lifestyle thing.
exactly.
Just keep building. Just keep building and building.
Yeah, yeah, that is true. So I think one of the kind of like first things, if we kind of like think about the important ones that comes to mind, in my case, it is the surviving mode. So yeah, sometimes there were so many tasks, and I think this will continue, that I was putting myself into the survival mode, and I think it was kind of like not the best one, because looks like in this case you are missing out on like other life's events, and then you are kind of in the cowardly position when it comes to approaching the life. So yeah, that was one of those things which yeah, I would like to improve upon in the year to come, personally.
And I love how you mentioned the word surviving or survival mode, because I guess like one of the main things or the main takeaways that I personally have from this year is shift your mindset from that of surviving, let's say like surviving your day or making it through your day, your
Mm-hmm.
week, whatever, to conquering. And the
Oh
main
yeah.
differences between that is when I think surviving, I think survival. I think, the cliche type of thing. You're stuck on an island, you just have to make it through, you have to wait for someone to come to the rescue and get you out of that, right?
Yes.
And when you're in a survival mode, your hero or your thing that's gonna come to the rescue can never happen.
Yeah.
You can keep staying there, keep staying in that rut of survival, or you can shift your mindset, like we just said, from surviving to that of conquering. When you think conquering, you think taking over, you think accomplishing. And I'm not talking about like, wars and battles and the cliche type of things. No, I'm talking like overcoming obstacles and being strong, pursuing, accomplishing, which all goes around the umbrella of conquering. So at the end of the day, you decide how you feel. Do you want to make yourself feel tired? Do you want to make yourself feel like you don't feel like doing anything? Or do you want to make yourself feel accomplished? The only way that you can feel accomplished is by actually accomplishing things during the day. And that goes from everything to like take the very start of your day. Your
Yeah.
alarm goes off in the morning. The first thing you have to do is you have to, wake up, start your day, accomplish your
Yes.
tasks. And that goes everything from work to what you decide to do with your own time. If you guys want to add anything onto that before I carry on to the next points?
Oh yeah, definitely on what you said versus survival slash conquering mindset. Like, because when you're in survival, you're defensive.
Oh
You're
yeah.
not throwing punches, you're taking punches. You keep your energy on conservative mode because you don't want to spend it on anything risky. You need to be able to take the here and now. And that's the problem with survival mindset. You don't think, what else can I do? You just think, well, how can I make it through? And sometimes there are situations and cases where the brain genuinely does need to go into survival mode. You can't be thinking about, your grocery list when your car is flipping around. But then, when you are out of that scenario, when we are out of any scenario where our brain has gone into survival mode, we tend to carry it on forward with us. And then what happens is we keep thinking, oh no, well, what if this, what if that? This keeps going on, that keeps going on. And I know this sounds like, oh, well, that's very much easier said than done. Well, no one said doing it would be easy. Like, if it was easy, trust me, everyone would do it.
Yeah.
I love how you, unless Oleg, you wanted to say something before I jump in.
Yeah, so I think, there is no easy sort of approach to kind of like go into this kind of like do mode versus not do. So, but ultimately, I think it can be done. In my experience, what I had to do, for instance, if we take this kind of like waking up and then getting out of the bed, so yeah, it's definitely doable, but yeah, it was not easy. So because yeah, naturally I would like to want to sleep more, maybe kind of like I am a little bit too tired and under recovered, so but I have to wake up. So, and I just need to kind of like tell myself to do that and then take this action. And then after that, it's actually not too bad. So you just need to take action, and then the further motivation will be kind of like generated after you take the action. So yeah, it's actually quite doable. There is nothing crazy difficult about that.
And then
I love
comes
how
the steps of taking the action. And especially now, because I think we are at 1 year of recording, so now will be the time to tell whether the stuff we preach actually does work, and has it worked on us. What
Absolutely.
went well. Exactly. Like, let's break it down to the starting process, doing it, the execution, and then being right here where we are now to look back and reflect and say, okay, share what worked, what didn't work with us, and just to increase that growth of mindset.
I think especially one of the things that I love that you both mentioned, which comes down to, surviving versus conquering. Then Wahab, I know that you mentioned something of when you're in survival mode, you're in defensive mode, you're in the mode of a victim. And that's a thing I have seen across a good number of the people I have interacted with, this year and recent times and everything. Like everyone, not everyone, but there are those that like to think they're the victim. They like to think that things are happening to them and that they have every right to feel upset. I mean, you do have every right to feel upset, to feel sad or anything, but it comes down to a matter of how long are you going to put yourself in this mode of survival when you have every choice to take action and get yourself out of that mode of survival into a mode of conquering. So an example I like to use, one of the people I have come across recently, I was trying
Yes.
to get this person motivated, disciplined to, let's say, like as simple as come and train at the gym with me.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, that's the first task we want to accomplish today because number one, it's a day off, we don't have work. So let's go train. Let's start our day on a difficult note to carry that momentum to get things done throughout the day and to have that strong mindset which comes from accomplishing something difficult, which is training. So I tell that person we're going to go train, and this person tells me that they don't want to go train, they don't feel like it, they just feel like that they need to sit down and exist for a bit. Now see, like life is not meant for you to sit down and exist. Life is meant for you to live, life is meant for you to conquer. Because we have now 8 billion people on this planet. Of these 8 billion people, guaranteed you, most of these people are here to exist, are here to survive, are here to make it through. Then you have the handful of people, the disciplined ones, are like, I'm not going to use the word, strong, but I guess the strong ones, whether it's mentally, physically, emotionally, all of these things,
That applies.
we take our difficulties, we thrive on our difficulties, and we use that to conquer. Whether that's using it as fuel to fire ourselves and accomplishing the best we can in work, accomplishing the best we can in our personal hobbies and our personal matters, conquests, or whether that's building ourselves physically, mentally, emotionally, basically using all of that stuff to make yourself better, and stronger. And you cannot do that when you're in survival mode. You can only do that when you're in conquering mode. Why? Because when you're in conquering mode, it can be as simple as a to-do list. You have a to-do list for the day, and when you check things off your to-do list, that's conquering. You set your eyes on something and you crossed it off, which means it's done, and you move on to the next one. Whereas when you're in survival mode, you only think of what do you have to do, and then you can tell yourself, if I don't feel like doing it, I don't have to do it. And if that's the mindset someone wants to take on with them, they can do that. But, some people don't like to put themselves in a rut of survival. Some people actually like to go out and thrive and make the most of their days, make the most out of their lives, because at the end of the day, not to sound cliche and all, but life is short. And life is short, meaning that, it's too short for you to just sit and exist and survive.
Yeah.
Get out there, live, conquer, and accomplish what you have set for yourself. Because that's the only way you're going to feel good. The only way you're going to feel good is if you put yourself through difficult situations and then get yourself out of these difficult situations.
Oh, yeah.
From that, you get the experience and you learn things.
Exactly.
You build the experience, you learn, and then you use that for reflection. Whichever worked, you keep it going. Whichever didn't work, you see why it didn't work. And you work ways around it. You find out what you can improve upon.
Yeah.
For a while there, so I want to give it to someone else now.
Exactly. Yeah, so I have something about the things that kind of like worked and that didn't. So yeah, in terms of the things that we have been preaching, so yeah, as I always say, those are kind of like the experimental things, right? So the stuff that we kind of share or have been sharing throughout our like episodes of the year, I would say. So that was all based on the like actual experimentation, right? So and then we talk about something, okay, well, self-audit, for example. So yeah, this is, let's say, good, right? And then, yeah, so all I had to do is just to kind of like try it on myself. So, and I think mostly the kind of like topics of the episodes of the year, all those like tools that we were trying to kind of like talk about here, so they worked well for me. But the only thing that kind of like made things not work was the inaction. So yeah, if I was inactive about something, then I was not successful at this. So yeah, that was basically kind of like one of the most important reflections. If I don't take action, then I am kind of poised to fail, basically. So, and then no matter how kind of like good some sort of method of self-improvement and optimization is, I'm not going to be successful because I don't take action, which equals to procrastination and putting something off. So yeah, that was not working out. But yeah, a lot of those kind of like sound methods were helpful, I would say. But like one of the things that kind of like I need to be better at in the next year is to take action towards whatever I'm going to work.
It's not just taking action too. Like you can also involve the fact that what purpose does it serve? We as humans tend to work on overdrive mode if that purpose clicks with us. For example, you can have someone who's working, a 9-to-5 job in like a really well established company.
Yes.
But when you look at them, they're miserable. They're drained of their soul.
Oh yeah.
Because they're just doing what they need to do to survive. But that is a very bleak purpose. It's just the bare essentials, the bare minimum. Yet you can have someone who's, let's say, financially less stable than that guy, but runs a bakery. Yet this person is happy. They are doing what they happen to love most in this world. And many people nowadays will replace purpose with pleasures, simply because it's even harder to sit down with yourself and say, okay, what is my purpose? And that comes from lack of direction. And even with the help of what you said of mentioning self-audits, something really interesting I found out during the whole Corona lockdown was that a lot of people went crazy when isolated. And that happens mainly because you are now with yourself. Sort of like, I am now with you guys. Instead, what people didn't realize is being alone, you're not just alone, you're with you.
Yes.
And a lot of people don't like who they are. So then you exhibit a resentment, but to yourself, and that can display in a list of really negative and like downward spiraling behaviors.
See, I love how you mentioned the aspect of there are people that go crazy when they're alone or being with themselves, because it's true. We see that. We see that there are people that don't like who they are, and this simply comes down to because you're not doing things that make you proud of yourself. Even if you're in a job you don't like, even if you're doing things you don't like, that doesn't necessarily make you that doesn't necessarily like identify you. Your work doesn't identify you. The simple things you do does not identify you. The only things that identify you is you. And then again, bringing this back to the mindset of surviving versus conquering, when you're with yourself and you're miserable and you're depressed and you think you're going crazy, this is you basically in survival mode. Because when you're stuck on an island and you're in survival, there are times when you go crazy. Why? Because you feel hopeless, you feel restless, you feel like, if no one comes to the rescue, that it's the end of it for you. And then bringing this back to the idea of being with yourself, like when you're with yourself and you focus on conquering yourself, you focus on taking over the things that have made you, I guess, sad and miserable. And from that, you set goals for yourself. You set targets for yourself, whether that's, with your work, whether that's with your physical training, whether that's with building your mindset, all of these things. When it comes to conquering yourself, you want to build yourself. You want to improve yourself rather than dragging yourself. Because as soon as you carry yourself well, that's a sign that you have conquered your flaws. You have conquered the things that make you unhappy about yourself. And when you get to that point, that builds your self-esteem. That builds your confidence. Why? Because you have accomplished these conquests. Not conquests of taking over certain territories and all, but these conquests of taking over the aspects of yourself that made you unhappy and unproud of yourself, and shifting that into aspects of victory, into things that once made you upset are now in the past, are now behind you, and now you have things to achieve, things to focus on.
Yes, and even the part you mentioned about identity, a lot of people will find nowadays will confuse their identity for their job description. And from these people are some of the most miserable we tend to find. Because even outside the office, you'll meet someone, you say, hello, who are you? They'll reply, hi, I'm John Smith, Regional Manager. That's all their life has to amount for. And it's the idea of coming back home saying, I don't feel like it, I'm too tired, they drained me today. That should be the very reason to get you going, to think, wait a minute, they drained me today. How can I let them do this? Someone else. And nowadays we tend to fall away from, okay, how can I be greater versus, oh no, well, I'm tired today. I'm burnt out. I just need to rest. When half of the times when our brain tells us we're tired, we're just 40% done.
Absolutely.
It comes down also to I guess like having someone drain you, having these people drain you and all. See, we all deal with people we don't like. We all get upset from the actions of other people. But it's okay to be upset for a certain amount of time. But as soon as you carry that with you, as soon as you take that resentment with you and you carry it for after the incident has happened, you are allowing that person to have power over you. And that person having power over you, from you allowing it, is going to stop you from doing many of the things that make you thrive. Now, you can either take that and use it as fuel to improve yourself and to work on the things you want to conquer, or you can, stay in your misery with it. This, again, comes down to the two types of mindsets you want to have of surviving it or conquering it. I deal with people I don't like all the time. What do I use it as? I use it as fuel to get me to work on everything I focus on outside of my job, which at the end of the day makes me feel accomplished, makes me feel happy, makes me feel like I can go to bed and be like, I have absolutely earned my rest tonight.
That is a great point. Yeah. So speaking of this fuel, that was one of kind of the important observations on which or things this year on which I reflect right now. So was that there were some people who, let's say, were trying to take control of me by like some of their methods, right? So, and then in my case, it was like, okay, well, I could be, I had a choice either to be miserable and say, oh yeah, those people are, let's say, so much better at something, and then they're so much more powerful than me. Okay, so I'll just be the victim. So actually, it kind of like boils down to this survivalship and the victimhood stages or parts of the like opportunities, like options in the mindset. So, or at some point, yeah. So I was exactly thinking what you Aziz have been mentioning. So I use this as a fuel. So I'm thinking, okay, well, maybe actually those people are better than me at something. So since they have this kind of power over me, so how can I become better to kind of like match them in power and then kind of like be on par with them, for example. So, and then I was using that situation as a fuel. Okay, well, now it kind of like makes me work on some sort of aspect of my life at which those people are better. That's what makes them more powerful compared with me. Now, how can I become something like that, or maybe even better? So, and then yeah, I was using those kind of situations as a fuel to kind of like carry me and like get to this conquerorship stage. So, and another one, like speaking of conquering, right? So yeah, if you think about that, it's also about maneuvers and some sort of strategic defeats, strategic losses. So yeah, sometimes what I learned this year is that I had to prioritize and cut out some things, just like not do them at all. So that was a part of the situation in which I was conquering as opposed to surviving, when I had to do, oh yeah, I had to do all those things absolutely perfectly. No, it was not the case. So yeah, because actually if I analyzed some things and then prioritized them correctly, then it turned out then I just can throw out some items from my life and then not do them. So, and then I don't have to worry about conquering them, so they're not on my list anymore, and then I actually can redirect my energy and focus on something that really matters more at this point and conquer that.
Yeah, I love how you mentioned, those specific stories, because those stories, like you use examples of, times when you felt upset or downed or, for lack of a better word, like a victim because of, the actions or things of other people.
Exactly.
And then automatically you shift that. And then you mentioned fueling yourself into a mode of conquest, into a mode of achieving what you want to achieve, so that way you can improve upon yourself. And that way is when you shift yourself really into a point where the actions or the words or what happens to you because of other people does not affect you the way it did before. And I love how you mention these stories, because at the end of the day, when you only focus on improving yourself, when you focus on working on yourself, self-development, whether that's physically, mentally, financially, emotionally,
Yes.
these are all steps you take to slowly conquering the versions of yourself or the previous versions of yourself, and you're working towards becoming the next best version of yourself. And the only way you can do that is you have to conquer your own past, conquer the own things that happened to you. Because if you stay with that, then you're in survival mode. And then if you use that to fuel yourself, if you use that to work up to the next level, then you're only going to go up and up from there, really.
And it's once you tap into that, you have an unlimited source of fuel. You can use that carefully and strategically for as long as you need every single time you're feeling down. And it's once I realized that it was able to get me out of a rut. Because for like 3 months, I realized I'm very inconsistent with my fitness goals. What happens is it's 1 week of hard work and dedication, then another 2 weeks of nothing, then 3 weeks of continuation, 1 week of nothing. It was very inconsistent. And
Yes.
that can be really detrimental, because work has to be consistent. It has to be compounded. The minute you cut one out, it loses that compound effect. And then it's very easy to subconsciously think, oh, well, I'm a little tired today. I need a little bit more rest today. And then realizing, wait a minute, there's an active force working against me, against my goals. And it's actively working 24/7 to have put me away from it. The minute you think like that, you can do so much. But then if you think, wait, there's an active force working 24/7, putting me away from my goals, oh no, there's nothing I can do about it. Oh no, I just have to give up.
And I love how you mentioned the
such
aspect.
compounded power. Yeah, that's it.
I love how you mentioned the aspect of, there are times you would work hard and then there are times you would slack off, and how that was kind of putting you in a rut and everything. This really comes down to why, because you were working hard when you felt like working hard. You slacked off because you didn't feel like working. And then as soon as you take yourself and put yourself in a position of doing what you have to do, regardless of how you feel, then you're basically in conquest mode, which think of like a daily routine that goes all the way like this. You wake up from your alarm because you have to get to work. You don't feel like waking up? Too bad, you have stuff to do. Get out of bed, start your day. Then you have to get to work. You have work to do. You don't feel like going to work? Too bad, a lot of people don't feel like going to work. Get to work. After work, what do you have? You have like several hours left in the day. Do you want to sit and watch TV and just relax because that's what you feel like doing? Or do you want to go and push yourself in other aspects? Now in work, you push yourself, I would say mentally. You can say emotionally, depending on who you're dealing with at work, which is good. You accomplish that, you get that done. But then as soon as that's done, you have other things to work on. And for people, I guess like us, who love to stay physically active, what we like to do after we have, accomplished our things from work and doing what we have to do there, we have, exercise, we have training, we have focusing on the next thing of conquest. So just, even if you don't feel like training after work, even if you're tired, even if you're lazy, just get yourself out of it. Just do what you have to do. Because at the end of the day, when you accomplish what you wanted to accomplish today, you're going to feel amazing. You're going to feel like you have conquered something. And what you have conquered are the tasks you have set yourself for that day. And that you have accomplished these tasks whether you felt like it or not.
And something very dangerous I see as well is that now excuses are somewhat labeled. And there's a difference, like we mentioned before, between a reason and an excuse. Like, a reason for not exercising is, oh, well, I broke my leg, so I cannot run. An excuse is, oh, well, I just feel tired today.
Yeah.
Just because I don't want to. But the thing is, we have so many different labels, I guess, we like to give ourselves, or it's because of this condition, that condition, it's because of this or that I'm not even going to bother trying now. And something I saw that I really liked is that I think it goes something like, the master has failed more times than the beginner has even tried.
Love that.
This idea of failure, of, oh no, is now just a giant wall you show to yourself, and stops many people from going into that conquest mode that we said, and keeps you in survival mode.
See, I love how we talk about conquest, we talk about conquering, achieving what you want to achieve throughout your days, and getting yourself out of survival mode into conquest mode. But with conquest, what do we get out of conquest? If done successfully, you get achievement. Correct?
Exactly,
what do you get from achievement?
That's one of the parts.
You get the right, get the right and the reason to celebrate your achievement and to celebrate your accomplishments and your conquests. And now, especially like during this time of year, as like we are approaching like the holiday season and the new year and everything, remember that like there are times where, you're not going to go hard on yourself, where you're going to feast with friends and family, you're going to enjoy time with them, you're going to have fun. And that's like the beauty of everything, right? You shift from this mode of conquest and conquering, you achieved what you wanted to achieve, and then you sit back and you're like, okay, now it's time to enjoy with family, now it's time to enjoy with friends. And that's the beauty of it. Like, this is you coming into a point where you balance your life and you work hard on yourself, and then you feel like you have earned your fun.
Oh,
After
yeah.
a successful conquest, after successful achievements, you earn your
Absolutely.
fun, you relax, you enjoy your time. And when you earn your fun, you like avoid those feelings of guilt. You avoid those, you can say addictions of, you know, um, the instant pleasures in life. Because when you're having fun, the only thing you're thinking about is you're enjoying the present moment. And then that day's over, you wake up the next day, like, okay, it's time to focus on, like, for lack of better phrasing, time to focus on the mission again. Time
Yes.
to get back to conquest. Time to achieve things again.
Absolutely. And yeah, ideally you have actually the fun in the process of the conquest. So yeah, that's where I was finding myself in a very good, healthy work mode, so to speak, right? So for example, I can feel good about working, let's say, on some sort of paper, on making a presentation, working in the lab, doing research, and so on and so on. So yeah, that's already kind of a fun process in itself. And then on top of that, yeah, it's going to be a smaller kind of like portion of the day. I will get to kind of like go home, for example, and maybe watch an episode of some sort of TV show. And then together, so yeah, it feels like a very holistic process, very fulfilling, let's put it that way, as opposed to, yeah, when you are completely, let's say, hating your job and then go and have fun just to numb yourself down. So yeah, that's where I'm at. I'm trying to kind of like achieve, and that's what I have been trying to do, like especially later in the year, achieve the balance, yeah, between the funness, so to speak, of the work and actually the rest after work.
And I absolutely loved how you said and mentioned you took fun and you added fun into the idea of conquest, into the idea of the journey. Because I mean, of course, like there are gonna be days where it's difficult, but you still do
Yeah,
it
exactly.
regardless. And then there are gonna be days where you have every right to have fun with the difficulties you're putting yourself through, whether that's at work, whether that's
Yes.
at the gym or wherever. And a funny piece of advice I got the other day from a wise person. I was upset or pissed off with people and things that have been happening at work. So I tell it to this wise person, and this wise person tells me back. He's like, "Why? Why are you allowing yourself to feel this way because of them? Like it's as simple as smile and laugh at their faces, and then just keep doing what you're doing."
Yes.
And this to me is a way of having fun, because when people who think they can upset you, you show them that you're unaffected. This messes with them.
Absolutely.
This really takes your thoughts and energy away from unnecessary things, and then you can shift your focus and energy into the things you want to accomplish. Hence the conquest mode. Because if you focus on the things that upset you, you're in survival mode. If you focus on things that will build you, you're in conquering mode.
Indeed. Yeah, we actually have conquered the 30-minute mark right now. So yeah, anything else we want to kind of elaborate on?
With a new year coming up, with a new timeline, let's reshift, realign our focus, make sure everything is nice and sharpened.
Exactly.
We want to not only prepare for this year, but we want to attack it. And you want to attack it first thing. But then the thing is, once you attack it, now comes the time to differentiate you between the average. The average will stop after 1 to 2 weeks, maybe even 1 month. But then they'll just reshift and realign their focus back into the roadways. And it's conditioning, it's how they've been conditioned or allowed themselves to be conditioned. What you want to do is, the second you start to feel that road bump, the second you start to feel that higher intensity, keep going.
And I want to say, as we again like approach this holiday season, end of the year, all these things, sure, set your targets, set the things you want to achieve, for the time you have coming up ahead. But also enjoy everything. Life is too short to not be enjoyed. Life is too short not to be conquered. So find the balance between the two. And I think that's like a good way to end it, really. Just find the balance between joy, find the balance between joy and achieving.
Exactly. Yeah, I agree. And then also speaking of that finding, I think a lot of things that we do are doable, so they are not impossible. We can definitely figure them out and do them. So it's not like we're dealing with something kind of that cannot be absolutely done. So no, it can be done. We have all the methods for that. So we have kind of like lots of tools and approaches to deal with what we do, and then oftentimes it just boils down to taking action, maybe sitting down, focusing, and getting things done. So, and again, those tools that we need to implement to complete the things, achieve success, and have some sort of fun, not only the work fun. So they are all possible. So it is just discipline, good mindset, and action. It's not like you have to like produce some sort of miracle. No, it is doable and figure outable, as some people say. And then yeah, that's like a really good thought to have in the back of your mind. So when you deal with lots of tasks around you.
Love it.
Great. Okay, guys. So yeah, we have approached our our desired time limit, I think. And yeah, with that, so speaking of conquering, so we have conquered the time limit and this episode, and we kind of like welcome you to subscribe to our channel, leave the comments for the video below, like there somewhere, and suggest any other ideas for future episodes, or share your thoughts with what we are presenting to everyone on this channel. So that being said, keep conquering, have fun, and find the balance.
Love it.
Awesome. All right. Well, in that case, bye everyone. See you in the next episode.
The next.